So I want to discuss media queries. Media queries are important when we're doing things like trying to detect what kind of device is viewing the web page we're on. So you may have heard of the term responsive design. And responsive websites are basically websites that can look good across, any browser. And you can look here on this awards website and see some examples of great responsive websites, right? And so what I mean by that is one way to kind of check it out in your own browser is to kind of shrink the browser window down. So when you shrink it down to a width that's about this small, you'll see that this is kind of the width that you would get on an iPhone or an Android phone, right? And it might be a little bit shorter like that. But you can see that this web page is responding to the different changes. And no matter what, it's going to look good. They've made sure that it looks good no matter what. And the way they accomplish that is with things like media queries in their CSS. So in their CSS, they have these special rules that say, okay, let's detect if the browser is between, maybe this size, like say 600 to 700 pixels, and then let's detect if it's between 100 and 400 pixels, and we'll do this to it. So it's kind of like if statements within your code. It allows you to say, add conditions in your CSS file. And the way media queries look is you just simply have this @media, and then you have either screen or some other rule or condition, and then you literally just group your code inside of there. So from here, I could then continue writing my CSS and saying, okay, now I want to do this. So for example, you can learn more about CSS media queries just by going to the W3 School website. And here's an example of it. We're saying, okay, let's take a look and make sure if the browser that is viewing this web page has a max width of 300 pixels, then we want to do something to the body tag, right? And we can nest as many selectors in here and test things out. And so that's a kind of for example, right here, you can see this one, the color changes depending on the width of this window right here. And so we're able to do that with these media queries. So you can read about them on this website, and it's very helpful. But keep in mind, that's how we achieve responsive design. And responsive design has become a popular buzzword, but it's really important. It's highly in demand, right? We want things to look good on iPads, on iPhones. That's a big part of a company's business. People are starting to view things on these kinds of browsers a lot more. Now, again, I've referenced Bootstrap before. I'll reference it again. When you import a library like Bootstrap, it's going to make responsive design easy for you. As you can see, one framework for every device. And I do want to make sure you know that there are other libraries out there. You don't have to be stuck with Bootstrap. You can use, Skeleton. There's the Skeleton grid system, and so on. And you can really explore these and see how they kind of work out for you. But Bootstrap is one of the most popular libraries that will allow you to easily create responsive design. And you can do that just by reading about their grid system on their website. So I definitely want to just make sure that you're aware of that. And you should, don't be afraid when you see something like this in your actual code, in your CSS, because what we're saying there is, we're just saying, okay, if the device has certain qualities, then we're going to give specific rules to it. And otherwise, we just write out our rules into the actual CSS document.